This wood is quite nice. Yes, I quite like this wood. It's very tasty. Yes, quite delectable. Yes, sharp and bitty. Hello, everyone. I didn't quite use you there. Excuse me while I have something to eat. No. Now then, my name is Freddy, or as some of you more noble folk may call me, Sir Frederick. Yes, 'cause I am quite royal, in fact. Anyway, I'm here to tell you all that after my butler's failure at playing such a simple game as Zelda 2, I am here to now be the new presenter of this series. So, as we will try to play these video game things, oh dear, well, it seems I can't do that. I have paws. Yes, I'll need one more of these to calm myself down. Well, I guess my human butler will have to pick the game back up and give it another go. Yes, now if you excuse me, I've got some hay to eat. Enjoy. And welcome back to my Zelda 2 Let's Play. No, I didn't give up. I've decided to pick the controller back up and give it another shot. So we're back on the bridge where I got the last game over, as we head towards the next town. Now, these enemies that are jumping out will constantly respawn, so you should only really fight them if they get in your way, as they also don't give much experience, and they can take experience points as well, so you've got to be very careful when fighting them. Now, as we make our way towards the next town, one really important thing to keep in mind is, before going to this area we're going towards, you want to make sure you have all your lives intact, because you're going to need every last one of them. This is going to be the first of two parts for what I consider the hardest part of the game. And when I say the hardest part, I mean as in with what skills you have, the enemies you encounter, everything. This is the hardest thing that you will find in this game, and the reason why a lot of people don't finish Zelda 2 is because of this next place we're going. But before we get into that, we've got a town to visit. So, the town we're visiting is the water town of Saria. Now, Saria is the forest mage in The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, and she's also Link's childhood friend. So, more of them Ocarina of Time parallels going on here. Now, the first guide in the town will tell you about the eyes of Ganon are everywhere. And what he's talking about is that certain villagers in towns from now on, when they're walking around, will occasionally turn into bats when you've talked to them, which means that they're one of Ganon's followers. So you have to keep your eye out for that. But to be honest, you shouldn't really need to talk to many of the villagers besides the usual 3 that you need. He's just there to let you know that that's something that can happen. And the quest in this town to get the next magic spell is just simply go into the little house, find a mirror under the table, and then bring it to the woman who's lost a mirror. Not a very interesting one, it doesn't take long at all, but the reward is definitely worth it. Now, so far we've had some good magic spells. Shield is very useful, and jump can be useful, but it's more so needed for getting around. But this next spell is the most important one in the game, the life spell. Now, life does, as the name implies, heal you. It heals about half of your health, so it's pretty good top up. But it costs a lot of magic, especially at this point in the game when you don't have much magic to use, and you're probably not going to have a very high magic meter. But it's still well worth using when you need a good top up, as with any game where there's a healing option you should always take it. But in this game's case, sometimes if you're nearly dead, you've got more lives to spare, and you don't feel like you need to worry about dying and getting game overs in an area, it can be sometimes not worth using life and instead just trying the best you can with the health you've got, and then if your character dies, then just try again on the next life. So in other words, using life is more of a emergency healing. Use it when you really need to, but it doesn't hurt to use it if you know that there's more magic top-ups coming up. Now, after topping ourselves completely up for the next area, we need to go inside this house where we find out the reason why you need to talk to Bagu, which is that the Riverman will open the bridge, but only if you've talked to Bagu before. If you haven't, he won't let you cross. So this is one of those cryptic moments which, on a first time playing, you probably won't know what to do. But anyway, now we're going to head into one of the worst parts of the game, what I consider the hardest part of the game, and a huge difficulty spike compared to anything we've been against previously. This is Death Mountain. Death Mountain is tricky. It doesn't seem so bad at first. You've got moblins and bots, like normal enemies that we've seen before. But there's an enemy type here that we have not faced before. And I'll just say right now, they are the toughest enemies in the game. The only contestant is the blue dark nuts. Or, well, iron. The only contestant is the blue iron knuckles. We also get some of the blue variants of certain enemies. So like the boomerang guys, there's blue ones of them now around this area, which is a real pain. So, as you can tell, they've definitely brought up the difficulty. So the way I'm exploring Death Mountain is I'm taking what I consider the most straightforward route, which is stick to the side, the right side specifically, of the map to work your way around. It gets you through a lot of battle scenes, but quite a lot of them are not too bad. So it's the lesser of evils and there's no dead ends. You will get your way around. These axe enemies are the ones to watch out for. Now those guys, I beat it not too bad there, but they do a lot of damage and their attack pattern is very quick. So my best strategy for them, the orange ones anyway, is to duck and stab them and then walk just a little bit forward before you do your next duck stab so that you keep a little momentum going. And you want to stick to that pattern because if you break it or even slightly are off timing, the axe guy will hit through you. He's not the worst one though. These are the worst ones. The red axe guys. I think they're called Gorias, so let's just go with that. So the red Gorias are the absolute worst enemies in this game. They throw their axe and it has infinite range, so you can't just run away from it. They hit very hard, they take a lot of hits at this point in the game to kill, and there isn't really a good way to fight them up close. My best strategy, run away. Anytime you can, run away. Even if you might have to take some hits from them, if you can get away from them, it's better that than fighting them. If you are going to fight them, then I recommend casting a jump spell, jumping over their axe attacks and trying to hit them, but it's going to be a long and arduous battle against them because they're just that strong and that fast at attacking. So yeah, that's the main reason though why this area is a pain, because of those red guys. The orange ones are a bit more manageable at least because there is a strategy by ducking and stabbing them, but it's not guaranteed to work. Now, this area is notorious for being a game ender for a lot of people who first try Zelda 2. They can usually get through the first sort of dungeons, feel okay, then they come here and they're hit with a brick wall of difficulty. And I get it, like, this place is a nightmare, but literally right after this point in the game, you get the best add-ons in the game, with a great spell and an amazing sword technique that we learn from the item we get in this place. So I say, stick with it, because as difficult as this place is, once you're done, you will be rewarded heavily with... You'll be rewarded heavily for your efforts. Yeah, I don't like this place, but I don't think it's as impossible as people say it is, especially because if you come here with all of your lives, you can probably get through the first part of Death Mountain without losing any lives. I've not done very well on this playthrough, but I still managed to get a level up at least, which is good, before I've died. Now this will be 2 parts for Death Mountain because it's just a bit too long of an area, and the second part is where I really struggle because there's more of the red Gorias. But yeah, this area is a pain, so it's just a matter of either leveling up or working on your reflexes. But I mean, if I can do it, you can as well. So we're about to end the first bit of Death Mountain, but I'm going to just show off and do the best I can when we get to the next part of the dungeon, because the item is in the second part of the dungeon, but you have to traverse through Death Mountain first to get to it. But you want to do this now before the second dungeon, because the items we get from this one tool we get here will help out immensely for the second dungeon and the rest of the game onward. So one trick I've not discussed yet that I've used here is the pause trick with magic. So the way that works is if you use a magic spell as you grab a magic potion that will heal up your magic, it's especially useful with the red ones since they boost so much magic up. You can use less magic for a spell as it's refilling. So, for example, I used the life spell as I grabbed the red potion, and because I did that at the same time, it didn't use as much magic as it normally would. So that's a little exploit you can use to really help yourself out in tough situations. But yeah, this is the second part of the Death Mountain, and it's, in my opinion, the worst part because by this point you've been fighting a lot of the axe guys, and the red ones are in very tight corridors here. And since I'll be doing this again in the second part anyway, I'll be refreshed and ready for the red guys. I suppose the last thing that I should probably just briefly touch upon is that this area's also got a really cool Easter egg. So just before we entered this little hole in the ground, the floor around had a lake in the middle, a bit of forest at one side, a forest at the other side, and a graveyard in the overworld. So why is that important? Well, that's the map from the first Zelda game, in a miniaturized version. But yeah, I'll be getting more into Death Mountain in the next part, so thanks for watching.